Hey, we are happy to be joined here by Dom Scott and Dominique. You're from South Africa, but a former Razorback, of course. And when you got this news, I mean, terrible news, obviously, but at the same point in time, it was the necessary news, in my opinion, I'm sure the opinion of a lot of people, and that is the Olympics in Tokyo postponed, and they probably won't happen until 2021. When you got word of this, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm sad. I really am. I think, since competing in the Rio Olympics in 2016, I've been looking forward to 2020. In 2016, I had just graduated from the University of Arkansas. I was, relatively unexperienced on the international scene. So for me competing at Rio, it was really just about the experience and then using that to build momentum towards the Tokyo Olympics. And I really feel like I'm in a good place now to, ready to compete on the world stage. So definitely upset, definitely, sad. And I think I'm going to allow myself to be sad, to have a minute to be sad. But I do realize that it's not the end of the world. We are still going to get our Olympics, that it's just, going to be later than expected. And I realize that it's for the greater good, and it's the right decision. But yeah, I am bummed today.
Yeah, Sandy Morris spoke this past week. She talked about how the qualifying would be compromised. And what's your take on that? I mean, with qualifying disrupted and it's not been able to actually level the playing field going into a set of Olympic Games that would be regularly scheduled. What do you think about that and just the way qualifying would be impacted if you would have gone on as scheduled?
Yeah, for sure. So I know for Sandy and myself, we had both already qualified for the Olympics. So I guess selfishly, it wouldn't affect us that much because we had qualified. We had our qualifying times and marked. But our trials would, there's definitely I guess those were up in the air. I was meant to be flying home to South Africa on April 15th to compete in our national championships to earn my spot to be on the team. And, right now, no one wants to be traveling internationally. I don't think anyone should be traveling internationally. So our trials in South Africa had been postponed about a week ago. It'd been announced that they were going to be postponed, but they hadn't set a date for the new trials. And I know the U.S.'s trials are set to be late June. But there's just so much up in the air in terms of training right now. Athletes didn't know, I guess, where they were going to be able to compete to get marks to qualify for the trials and to qualify for the Olympics. So I think Sandy and I were a little bit lucky in, the aspect that we had already reached our qualifying marks for our trials and for the Olympics. But there were a lot of athletes that were still hoping to run at smaller meets, jump at smaller meets so they could reach those standards.
What are you doing right now as far as training? I mean, you're out there in Boulder, Colorado. I know that you're probably limited to places you can go. What's kind of a daily routine for you right now?
Yeah. So honestly, being a distance runner, our training hasn't been jeopardized too much. I mean, other than my teammates and I, we decided to limit our interaction with each other. There are about 10 athletes that we train together out here. We call ourselves Team Boss, just because our coach's name is Joe Bossard. So we took his last name, and that's how we got Team Boss. So we haven't been seeing each other since last Sunday. We've all been training by ourselves. We've been lifting by ourselves. But being a distance runner, we're still able to get outside. Luckily, we're still able to, run on the roads, run on the dirt roads, and we have access to some tracks that are not affiliated with universities. So I would say that our training hasn't been too compromised, other than the fact that we're now doing it solo, which I guess isn't fun, but it's not the end of the world. But yeah, so training hasn't changed all that much. With the news of meets getting canceled or getting postponed in, the past few days, we've kind of been backing off with training. We've kind of been going back to a winter training mode, so increasing the volume but backing off the intensity.
Nikki Hiltz, former Razorback, is she one that you've spoken with here recently? You kind of mentioned Sandy Morris a little bit, but what about Nikki and any other former Razorbacks you've been in contact here recently about what's going on?
Yeah, Nikki Hiltz and I are still really good friends. She's out training in California right now. And I know that, she also has her Tokyo standard and had run so well last year and really had good momentum going into this year. So I'd also assume that she's bummed. But, we're all mature adults and we all understand that, this is a decision for humanity, and it's the right decision. But I know that her and her teammates have also been training solo. Luckily, she lives with Teresa Hayes, also a former Razorback, so I'm sure they're going on runs together and keeping each other company. But yeah, it's a very unprecedented time. Everything's changing daily or almost by the minute. So we're just trying to focus on the controllables, stay positive, and just remember that things are going to go back to normal. When that is, we're not sure, but just focusing on the positive.
You kind of mentioned it to me off the air, but kind of take me inside the dynamic and your husband, Cameron, how he's doing right now, and the fact that you've moved to Boulder, Colorado. How's that sort of evolved for you?
Yeah, so I moved to Arkansas in 2011 to run and study at the University of Arkansas. And after graduating in 2016, Lance Harder, coach of the Lady Razorbacks, continued coaching me for about 2 years. But I wasn't training with anyone. I was kind of finding it difficult to find my spot training with collegiates, but trying to compete with the best in the world. And so I decided to make a switch so that I could have some training teammates. So I joined a group out in Boulder, Colorado, which has Olympic medalist, a Commonwealth medalist, just a ton of talent on the team, so that I could have training partners to help push me and give me company at these international meets. And so we were still living in Arkansas, in Fayetteville, on Earnhardt Street. Really miss Earnhardt. Great neighbors out there. But I was coming out to Boulder, Colorado for weeks, a couple of weeks before every big race. And then, after that training block, I would go overseas to compete for a few weeks. So it meant that Cam and I really weren't seeing each other very much. And so after about a year and a half of trying to make that work, we just finally decided, hey, we need to be living in the same place. We can't be spending so much time apart. So luckily, Cameron's company, Black Eye, which is based on Joyce Street in Fayetteville, were super cool. And they said, hey, we understand what Dom's trying to do. We understand that, this is a limited time. She has a limited time on her career. And they said, you go out to Boulder with her and work remotely for a few years. So at the end of the summer last year, Cameron and I packed up our house in Fayetteville and moved out to Boulder, Colorado. So, yeah, it's been good. We definitely miss our Northwest Arkansas community. Cameron has grown up and lived in Northwest Arkansas his entire life, and his family's still there. And for me, I'd really found a home for myself in Fayetteville. So we miss it. We miss, our restaurants and our gym, FAC, but we're trying to, make the most of my career and knowing that it's not a very long window of opportunity that I have. So just going full throttle, making sure we put all our eggs into this basket so that we have no regrets.
Yeah, great place, Fayetteville, Arkansas, and I'm glad they got that worked out for you with Cam, and Boulder, Colorado, great place as well. But let's close with this. Take me down memory lane a little bit here, Dom. I want to talk about your distance double, winning the titles in the 5,000 and 10,000 back in 2016, Arkansas's first outdoor women's title, and what that was like. Kind of reminisce and take me back through those memories.
Oh my gosh. That weekend in Eugene, I think it was the first weekend in June in 2016. It was very special. I remember Lance Harder's birthday is the middle of April, and I remember writing him a birthday card that year saying your birthday present is coming. I think it was June 11th or something, kind of with a wink. And I knew I was going to do everything I could in the build up to my last NCAA competition to try and help the Lady Razorbacks win their first ever outdoor team title. And things don't always line up the way you wish they will. You can do all the work, but you still have to feel good on that day, and you still have to go out there and execute the plan. And just everyone on the team did that weekend. We were very lucky to, for all our girls to feel good and be able to compete to their highest potential that weekend. And yeah, for me, being able to go out and win the 5K and first the 10,000 and then come back and win the 5,000 and, lock in those 20 points and help the Lady Razorbacks win their first ever outdoor team title was super cool. I mean, it was a weekend I will never forget. Definitely one of the high points of my career up to this point, and definitely a top memory of mine, something I still, look back on and draw inspiration from.
Outstanding. Thank you, Dom, so much for the time, and say hello to Cameron for us, and all the best to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
All right,
Bye.
we'll see you.